After a hiatus, we've now seen high-level engagement between India and Canada. I was speaking to the delegation from the European Union, and Kaja Kallas in an interview said that unpredictability is the word of the day. But over here, it seems diversification is also word of the day. To speak about it, to talk about how India and Canada are uniting and engaging in order to ensure that there is diversification and coming together of mutual interest. I'm being joined by Tim Hodgson. He's Canada's Minister for Energy and Natural Resources. Minister Hodgson, thank you so much for joining us here on this exclusive interview. Let's begin with the fact that you were here for the Energy Week, and there are a lot of deliverables that both countries can look at when it comes to energy security and diversification. Your thoughts on what the two countries are going to do and what's in it for both the nations?
Well, first of all, it's incredible to be here. I haven't been here since 2005, and it's just such a pleasure to be back. In many ways, our two countries are a perfect match. Canada is a clean and conventional energy superpower. We are blessed with incredible resources. At the same time, India is this incredibly vibrant economy. By the end of the decade, the third largest economy in the world. What we heard clearly at India Energy Week is the growth in global energy demand is going to be driven by India. India is fully a third of the total growth in energy demand over the coming years. And for Canada, that's a tremendous opportunity. We are blessed with great critical mineral resources, which is something I know everyone here is focused on. We're blessed with abundant natural gas and are starting to exploit our LNG. We're blessed with abundant LPG. We had a lot of conversations around uranium, around potash, around conventional oil. We also had some incredible conversations around the great innovative work that Indian renewable companies are doing and getting to a place where they're able to deliver baseload renewables at incredibly interesting prices. And I think there's an opportunity for us to learn from India about how to deliver in that particular area.
Okay, let's talk about costs then. For now, diversification in terms of how India is looking at or has been always acquiring oil or petroleum or energy has been from not so far away but nearby resources. How will the cost factor over here be factored in? How are you looking at ensuring that the costs don't go up, that fuel consumption does not become dearer for consumers in India?
Well, as Minister Puri pointed out, several years ago you were sourcing your oil, natural gas from 20 different countries. Today it's from 40 countries. The reality is Canada produces roughly 5 to 6% of the world's oil today. You're getting less than 1% of your oil from Canada. There's a huge opportunity for us to diversify our customer base and for you to continue to diversify your supplier base. The interesting thing is today Indian companies are sourcing Canadian natural resources, our oil and our natural gas, off the Gulf Coast of the U.S. We're building the infrastructure today so you can source it off our West Coast. That's closer to India. It means shorter time frames. It means not dealing with tolls through the Panama Canal, and it means cheaper energy ultimately for India.
Okay. How much of this, the focus being diversification, has to do with really looking at diversification, or is it has to do with the fact that your neighbor has become, or it's rather difficult to deal with your neighbor, with America? Is it Trump?
No, I think our Prime Minister was clear. The world, and it's not one country, but the world is changing. In Davos, our Prime Minister spoke very well about what is happening for the last 80 years. Most countries in the world have been trying to focus on integrating their economies and leading to lower ultimate costs, free trade between nations. Today, we're in a world where some countries are using that integration for coercion. They're using tariffs to get leverage on people. What our Prime Minister said in Davos is middle powers in the world, the way we combat that is we strengthen the diversity of our relationships. That creates economic resilience, that creates national security for all middle powers. Canada's committed to diversifying our relationships as it relates to energy, as we just talked about, given that India is will be the third largest economy in the world, that 1/3 of the increase in global energy demand is going to come from India. Our road to continuing to be an energy superpower is through India, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, before we delve a little more into the energy security aspect, how concerned is Canada, how concerned are you when it comes to weaponization of tariffs? It is something that has really concerned India, that has worried India to the extent that India is looking at alternatives. The rest of the countries, including Europe, looking at alternatives. How concerned is Canada?
So we believe in multilateralism. We believe in free trade. We can't control what some countries do or other countries do. What we can do to combat that is continue to develop our trading relationships with like-minded partners. Our Prime Minister has developed in the last 6 months 12 trade deals on 4 continents. We are increasing our relationships with India with a new start. Our Minister of Trade, Minister Sidhu, was here a month or 2 ago. Minister Anand, our Foreign Minister, was here a month ago. I'm here this week. Our Minister of AI, Minister Solomon, will be here in a few weeks, and it's widely suggested that our Prime Minister will be here very soon. That all leads to new opportunities for India to source and share. It's important your expertise in renewable energies. We'd like to learn from that. So that's great for India, and that's good for us.
You're not just talking about LNG, LPG fuel, you're also talking about the uranium sector. That's a sensitive one. We've seen a major breakdown of relations, a souring of ties between India and Canada. Are there any assurances from Canada's side that there will be continuity when it comes to supply? Because a breakdown of supply, once you have invested in a country because of political reasons, can do much harm.
So we understand India has ambitious goals with respect to nuclear power. I think 100 gigawatts of new nuclear power by 2047. We also have ambitious goals with respect to growing our nuclear business. Canada has the best uranium supplies of any country in the world. We have supplied India over many years. Our commitment to India is we are happy to supply uranium for peaceful purposes to any facilities that continue to abide by the International Atomic Energy Agency's oversight rules. We're happy to be a supplier to India.
You praise the India-EU FTA as an example of resisting tariff coercion by hegemons. What were you talking about when you talked about the hegemons?
So, I know many of your viewers would have watched Prime Minister Carney's speech. If they haven't watched it, I would.
They have.
I would encourage them to watch
the standing ovation.
And in that speech, he talked about the changing world order, the rupture, about countries choosing to use integration for coercion. He talked about using tariffs for leverage. But he also provided a positive path forward. And that was around the way to reduce that leverage is build new relationships. Build relationships with people who share your views around multilateralism, who share views around free trade. And that's exactly what we're doing. And whether that's world powers who want to use energy, want to use critical minerals, want to use whatever, Canada's belief, and I believe India's belief, is the way we combat that is do more free trade agreements, do more working together, strengthen the institutions of multilateralism, don't rip them apart.
Are we looking towards agreements that would go beyond just energy, beyond just fuel and energy security, but look at an India-Canada free trade agreement that could make doing business, doing trade beyond energy far better, far easier, and far more profitable for both the countries?
I think both our prime ministers are ambitious with respect to building stronger trading relationships. I know when I was speaking with Minister Goyal today, he talked about how important it has been to India to move quickly, to take advantage of new opportunities in the world given this rupture. He talked about how effective he believes India's new agreement with the EU will be. He talked about his agreements with other countries, and we agreed that we should be working toward things as comprehensive as that.
It's not just about tariffs, Minister Hodgson. It's also about sanctions. The fact that most countries that have oil are sanctioned, does that give Canada an opportunity to be a bigger player in this multilateral world where everybody's looking at and looking to diversify? Whether if you look at Russia or Iran, or for that matter, Venezuela today.
Yeah, so I'm not going to comment on Russia or Iran or Venezuela. What I know is, as I go around the world, whether it's in Germany or the UK, or we're speaking with our allies in Japan or Korea, what we hear over and over again is Canada has the energy and natural resources that would help these countries continue to develop their economy, to continue to grow, and they like our values. They like how we think about the world. They like our commitment to multilateralism. They like our commitment to free trade, and they like the fact that we will never use our energy or natural resources for coercion. That's not the way Canada does business, and so I think that's one of our strengths as we engage in the world.
Doing business with respect and dignity, we've seen that, and we've seen how your Prime Minister and your government has stood by countries and for taking the moral high ground for what is right and what is moral. But can Canada ever fall under American pressure and not do business with India? Because India has taken a real hit when it comes to President Trump and his policies. And should he be unhappy with the forward movement or momentum that he sees between India and Canada? He's already threatened Europe. Would you fall under that pressure?
Canada honors its trade agreements.
Geopolitics has completely changed in the past year or so, particularly after Trump has come to power. We've seen more engagement of Canada, not just with India, but with China as well. As much as the West wanted to move away from China, now we're looking at more engagement with China, with India, between Canada and European countries that have always existed. But is this Canada hedging away from the United States of America? Or would you call it diversification, or really hedging away?
So I would, the way I would, I always think about how do I explain this to my constituents. And many of my constituents particularly many of my Canadian constituents are entrepreneurs and business people. And so the way I describe it is, hey, if you were a small business owner, would you want to have one customer? Would you want to sell all of your product to one customer? Or would it be a smart idea to have a few more customers to diversify your exposure? I think we know the answer. And I would say the same, India is probably further along in this. If you're a small business owner, do you want to source all of your supplies from one supplier? Or would you like to diversify? When you put it that way, I think everyone gets it. That's what India is doing today. That's what Canada is doing today. That's good for India. That's good for Canada. And I think we have a lot we can do together, and I think Canada's success will go through India.
Is there a discussion globally with countries that you meet where this unilateral decision of using or weaponizing tariffs is something that you can counter by coming together? Is there a multilateral bloc that countries are thinking of to counter the tariff coercion that we see?
Look, this move away from multilateralism and free trade towards more mercantile, it's new. It's really only happened in the last year. One country has chosen to lead that approach, and I think everyone's figuring it out. I think our Prime Minister has articulated how that is manifesting itself in the world. He's proposed a solution. I would say the conversations that I've been having, people are relatively receptive to his perspective. I think the reception he got in Davos is an indication of how the rest of the world thinks about it.
In terms of volatility, I know we're running out of time, but we need to get this through as well to our viewers as to how Canada is looking at and monitoring the situation. Volatility when it comes to energy markets, given the kind of regional instability that we're seeing, the threats of an attack that the United States of America, President Trump is talking about when it comes to Iran. How are you looking at the Strait of Hormuz? Because that is critical when it comes to energy supplies. Most of fuel goes through the Strait of Hormuz. So your reading on America's decision to maybe attack Iran, and how will that impact energy security?
We don't control what America does. Clearly, a significant amount of the world's energy goes through that region. The reality is Canada does not source any of its energy from that region. What I can say is if countries are worried about that, Canada represents a really attractive alternative to diversify away. We will be a stable supplier. And I think given that we can export off our west coast, it's a direct line to India.
And a secure one at that.
And a secure one at that, yes.
Okay. So looking forward to that. But again, there are so many aspects that I'd like to ask you on, but we're really running out of time. There's one important aspect when it comes to India, Canada, and how you're viewing the changing geopolitics, but particularly for Canada. If I could ask you this, because it's very close to home. President Trump, again, has looked at Canada, calls it the 51st state of the United States of America. It's not just about coercion on tariffs and how he uses tariffs as a weapon. It's also how America, unlike ever in the past, has become imperialistic in the way it's looking at land and territory, whether it's Canada or Greenland for that matter, Minister.
I'm not going to speak about what the U.S. is doing. What I can say is Canada believes, as was laid out in the UN Charter, that no one can change borders by force. We believe in the sovereignty of countries. It's a position our Prime Minister has spoken clearly on. And Canada will continue to stand for that.
On that note, Minister Hodgson, hoping that India-Canada ties only grow and hoping that all the aspects that you've covered in your visit fructify and is taken forward by the leadership. On that note, thank you so much for joining us here on India Today Global.
Thank you very much for having me.